back to another episode of All Things Science with Miss Muhammad. Today I have a very cool experiment to do with you all. We are going to be making a flashlight using pennies. And I know it sounds crazy, like a flashlight using pennies. Pennies don't light up, but you will understand everything very quickly. So like always, let's jump into the materials that you'll need to start to conduct this experiment. So you're going to need some sandpaper, and I just have, I believe this is 150 grit sandpaper. You're going to need 4 pieces of cardboard that are about half of an inch to an inch width, and they should be in a square. So all sides should be between half an inch to an inch. You're going to need some electrical tape. You are going to need a red LED light, so it's 5mm LED light, and I got a pack of 100 for really very inexpensive on Amazon, but you'll only need 1 of them. You want to make sure that they're red LED lights. You're going to need 5 pennies. And make sure that the 5 pennies were made after 1982. So you want to check the front of the penny and it'll tell you which year it was produced. So make sure that they're made after 1982. You may need some scissors for your tape. You're going to need a cup with half a cup of water. You're going to need some salt, and you are going to need some vinegar. And then also a spoon. Lastly, you are going to need some gloves, and I suggest the gloves for when you're using the sandpaper. Okay, so for this experiment, we are going to be trying to turn this LED light on. So right now it is off, it's just not a light at all. But using our pennies and our cardboard, we're going to be able to make a battery that is going to produce enough energy to turn this light on. All right, so I am so excited to turn our pennies and cardboard and our little LED light into a flashlight. So let's get right into this experiment. So the first thing that you are going to do is you are going to make an acid solution. So we're making an acid solution so that we can make our battery. So one reason that batteries work is because there's acid that is allowing the energy or the electricity to move from one end of the battery to the next. So to make our acid solution, you're gonna start with some water and some salt. And there's no measurement for this. You just wanna make sure that you have a lot of salt to the point where all of it doesn't dissolve. All right, so now that we have our salt, we're gonna take 1 teaspoon of vinegar. And this is about a teaspoon. So for this experiment, the measurements don't have to be exact. And we're gonna put it in. So vinegar is highly acidic, and so this is what is making it into our acidic solution. All right, so now that we have our acid solution together, we are going to soak our pieces of cardboard into the acid. We're going to want to sand 4 of your pennies on the tail side. So on the back of your pennies, you're going to want to sand them down so that all of the copper is off, or as much as the copper as possible. And trust me, this takes a very long time. So please be patient, and make sure that you're wearing your gloves, because you can really hurt your fingernails, and as you're sanding down the pennies, your fingernails can also be sanded down. This is also something that I would suggest an adult do instead of a child, especially depending on the age of. All right, so while my cardboard is soaking in my acid solution, I'm just going to explain how batteries work in general. So batteries are made up of different types of metals and an acid solution. So the acid solution allows the electricity that is moving in the batteries to kind of move from one place to another. And I remember saying that earlier. Well, you might be wondering, well, where does the electricity actually come from? And that's a wonderful question. So the electricity in batteries actually comes from the different types of metals. So like all molecules, metals have a really small particle called an electron. And electrons are negative energy. So basically, as the electrons are moving, they create electricity. So in our battery, the electrons from the zinc create a different type of energy, and it passes along from the copper to the zinc and the copper to the zinc with the help of our acid solution. And as this happens, as the energy moves, this creates electricity, which will in turn allow our little flashlight to turn on. Alright, so I'm gonna let my cardboard soak in my acid solution a little bit longer, and then I will be back so that we can construct our battery. Alright, so I am back now, and my cardboard has soaked into the acid solution for about 10 minutes now. Yours should have soaked for a little bit longer than mine, but it should be good. And also, you will need some paper towels. I forgot to say that in the beginning. Now what we are going to do, it is finally time for us to build our battery, and I'm so excited. So the first thing that we are going to do is we are going to take out our cardboard. All right, so we're going to start with one of the 4 pennies that we have the zinc and the copper side for. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to start with one of your pennies, and you're going to put the copper or the head side down. Okay, like that. And then we're just gonna kind of build a penny and cardboard sandwich. So it should be the copper side down and then the zinc side up, a piece of cardboard. You need to do it again. You get another penny, the copper side down, the zinc side up, and then another piece of cardboard. And then finally, you should have your 5th penny, which is all copper. And it doesn't matter which side you put down. All right, so now our battery is actually completed. So it should look something like this. Now it's very important that none of the pieces of the cardboard or any of the pennies are actually touching one another. So if you have some pieces of cardboard that are kind of touching, just kind of spread them out a little bit. All right, so next what you're going to do, and this is where we actually make our flashlight, is you're going to take your LED light. And if you notice, your LED light has 2 prongs. One is longer than the other. You're going to want to put your longer prong on the top of the sandwich and your shorter prong on the bottom. So you're going to have to open it up a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to flip it like this. All right, and then you're going to want to move it, and it's starting to turn on. I hope that you can see it happening. So you're going to want to move your light to a position that allows it to stay. But the best way to make this work is you want to make sure that the LED light is touching both ends of the pennies. So now my LED light is on and it's working. So once you get your LED light on, what you're gonna want to do is you're going to get some electrical tape and wrap it around so that it stays on. Okay. And I also find that if I just like squeeze all the pennies together, it makes it work a little bit better. Yeah, definitely. So you can also kind of see how you can dim the light, or if you change the battery a little bit, what happens to the light. So that's a really cool way. But all in all, now my flashlight is working. It really doesn't produce too much heat, so too much light. So I really don't think you can really use it as a flashlight. But this is such a cool experiment. And not only were you able to make a light turn on, but you also were able to make a battery. And how cool is that? I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. So before I go, let's just go over the mechanics of a battery. So we know that batteries are things that, you know, make things turn on. We put our batteries in our remotes, we have batteries in our cell phones, and we know that they produce energy or electricity that powers things. So with our battery today, we use pennies, which were made up of 2 different types of metal, copper and zinc, and then we also made an acid solution with our salt and our vinegar. And we learned that batteries work with the combination of the acid solution and the electrons, or that negative energy that is in metal, combining together which produces electricity. And so with that electricity, our little LED light was able to turn on and become a little mini flashlight. How cool is that? So another challenge for this, so this was a 5-cell battery, which meant that we used 5 pennies. So maybe you can make a larger battery using more pennies, and you might be able to turn on more red lights. Or if you find like a blue LED light, which takes a little bit more energy and electricity to work than a red LED light, you could try it to see how many cells your battery would need to work. So thank you all for tuning in, and I appreciate all of the support and all of the people who have attempted any of the experiments, or at least just watched them. I hope that you guys are learning a whole bunch. Enjoy your rest of your day, and I will see you again in the next video. Bye.